Listen closely. The distance between the life you want and the life you have isn't talent, luck, or a perfect plan. It's the space of a single skipped day. Miss one day and momentum cracks. Let it slide again and routine dies. Keep letting it slide and a year goes by while your dream stands exactly where you left it, waiting on you. You say you want success, you say you want freedom. But if I opened your calendar, if I watched your morning, your evening, your in-between hours, what would I see? Gaps, hesitation, half-built starts, promises you made to yourself and quietly walked away from. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because you've been trained by comfort to believe that skipping just this once is harmless. It isn't. Just this once is how men lose empires they haven't built yet. This is not a pep talk. This is a line in the sand. If you skip again, you're not only postponing a task, you're postponing the man you're becoming. The universe doesn't bow to excitement, cleverness, or fireworks. It answers repetition. It moves for the one who returns again and again and again, especially when no one's watching. Hear me? All power gathers in the hands of the man who refuses to miss, not the sprinter who explodes and disappears, not the novelty chaser, the man who shows up on the day after the excitement is gone, the man who keeps his word when the room is empty and the applause is silent. You want outcomes? Stop waiting for motivation. Practice obedience. You're not too tired. You're untrained in consistency. You're not stuck. You're inconsistent. You're not lost. You just stopped showing up for the plan you wrote back when you still believed every word you said. Some men try. Other men train. Some men start. Other men never stop. Which one are you becoming? Let's tell the truth. The results you want were already hidden in the repetitions you were supposed to begin 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. The work wasn't complicated. The aim wasn't mysterious. But you allowed a skipped morning, a skipped promise, and a skipped decision to interrupt a pattern that could have carried you across. And every time you let it slide, you taught your mind something dangerous. My word is optional. Success is not a riddle. It's compound interest on small, repeated acts. Most never see it because they won't hold the pattern long enough to let it pay. They plant a seed and dig it up tomorrow to check on it. They speak faith and answer themselves with fear 5 minutes later. They act for a week, wait for a feeling, and wonder why the law of momentum ignores them. The law doesn't move to feelings, it moves to obedience. I don't care how brilliant your plan looks on paper. If you abandon it whenever you're bored or bruised, the plan still owns you. You don't own it. I don't care how fierce your desire feels at midnight. If you only move when conditions are perfect, you're building a fantasy, not a future. Consistency isn't a personality trait. It's not just how some people are. Consistency is law. You step into it or you live beneath it. You want wealth, then you speak wealth daily, move toward it daily, and build structure daily. Not when the sun shines, not when you catch a wave of inspiration. Daily, without apology, without missing. The consistent man becomes predictable in the most dangerous way. Enemies fear him. Allies trust him. The world eventually yields to him. Why? Because inevitability grows wherever skipping dies. Everything you want, discipline, confidence, clarity, authority, sits behind a wall called consistency. You don't break that wall with a single dramatic blow. You wear it down with one strike a day. Same place, same time until it falls. That's what we are doing here, installing consistency, not as a task you try, but as the identity you wear. Understand the enemy. Inconsistency is not harmless forgetfulness. It is spiritual self-betrayal. It is the quiet permission you give yourself to remain average while talking like a king. A man rarely ruins himself in one decision. He erodes in skipped mornings, postponed rituals, and gentle excuses just this once, until his fire becomes smoke and his purpose grows silent behind a screen. Drift never announces itself with alarms. It taps your shoulder and whispers, "You've earned a break," so you negotiate with the habit that made you strong. Your calendar fills with later. Your voice loses its edge. Your clarity blurs, and the slow rewrite begins, from the man who builds to the man who bargains, from the man who finishes to the man who almost did. The moment you skip what you declared sacred, you choose drift over discipline. If you don't break that choice quickly, it hardens into habit. Habits shape identity. Identity writes fate. The world is crowded with men who nearly became great, men with brains, fire, and vision who couldn't hold a rhythm. They couldn't wake when they said they would. They couldn't write the aim every morning. They couldn't say no to small distractions that devour big futures. Their lives became well-worded excuses wrapped in emotion. Businesses don't collapse in a day. They collapse when builders stop showing up every day. Bodies don't weaken in a week. They weaken when the man who once trained with urgency starts skipping now and then. Reputations don't implode with one mistake. They unravel under the slow acid of inconsistency. The real loss isn't what you missed. It's who you didn't get to become because you wouldn't stay steady. This is why consistency is non-negotiable. Your subconscious, the quiet machinery that organizes your life, doesn't obey passion, it obeys repetition. It doesn't care how loudly you declare a goal once, it listens to what you repeat in word and deed when no one is clapping. You can have the right blueprint, the right mentors, and the right aim, and still never arrive if you skip the process. The winner isn't always the fastest mover, he's the one who never misses. Better a small thing, repeated, than a grand gesture, abandoned. Identity isn't built by how you feel, it's built by what you do on schedule, especially when you don't feel like it. Here's your warning: when you tell yourself one day off won't matter, you're not delaying results, you're granting permission. And once your mind knows your word is negotiable, it stops building on it. A skipped day becomes a skipped pattern. A skipped pattern becomes a broken identity. So respond with violence, not rage at the world, but ruthless honesty with yourself. Don't excuse inconsistency. Don't glamorize it as self-care. Don't permit one weak moment to demolish a structure that would have changed your life. When a pattern breaks, power leaks. To get it back, you don't wait, you return. From below, if you must. Humble, simple, present. The good news: rhythm can be rebuilt. The pattern can restart. Once your mind watches you show up without apology, without negotiation, it remembers who is in charge and begins to line up behind you again. Speak this now out loud with spine. I treat consistency as law. I do not skip. I repeat until I arrive, again stronger. I treat consistency as law. I do not skip. I repeat until I arrive. These are not slogans. They are your gatekeepers. Let them shove you out of bed when comfort purrs 5 more minutes. Let them pull your hand back to work when distraction sings. Let them remind you your future isn't built in bursts. It's built in daily fire. From this moment, you become the man who shows up, not as a suggestion, but as a standard. Your routine is sacred. Your discipline is holy. Your word is binding. Keep returning to the thought, the action, and the structure, and results will find you, because consistency always wins. Not sometimes, always. The law cannot deny the man who repeats truth long enough for truth to manifest. All power belongs to the repeater, not the clever talker, not the lightning strike starter, the one who comes back tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, until the world has no choice but to yield. If you want your life to rise on schedule, your day must learn to kneel. That's the trade. Master the 24 hours, and the months surrender. Keep the 24 hours soft, and your future stays soft too. So today we stop leaving your rhythm to mood, and we build structure that moves whether you feel like it or not. Listen, structure is not a cage. Structure is a channel. A river with no banks floods and ruins. A river with strong banks carves canyons. You don't need more motivation. You need banks. 4 of them. 4 non-negotiables that make consistency automatic. A fixed wake time, a spoken aim, a daily needle mover, and a weekly audit. Put these in place, defend them like a crown, and skipping becomes the rarest thing you do. 1. Wake by design, not by feeling. Set one time, every day. Weekday or weekend, holiday or Tuesday, it doesn't matter. You are training your nervous system to expect command at dawn. When you wake by design, you begin in dominion. When you wake by emotion, you begin in drift. Here's the rule. Alarm on the far side of the room, feet to floor within 10 seconds. Don't debate. Don't bargain. Don't open a portal of 5 more. You are not waking up your body. You are waking up your identity. Stand, drink water, open the light, and move. The first victory of the day is small on the clock and massive in the mind. Win it, and the next decision bows. Say it out loud. I wake when I said I'd wake. My day salutes me. 2. Speak the aim before the world speaks to you. Before news, notifications, or anyone's opinion enters your mind, you enter your own. Your aim controls your day only if it's the first voice. Write it, then speak it, with emotion, not mumbling, so your subconscious hears a command, not a suggestion. Keep this simple, specific, and identity anchored. I build a cash-flowing business that serves 500 clients with excellence. I train my body daily and fuel it for strength and clarity. I create value every day, measure it every week, and improve it every month. Why aloud? Because the subconscious obeys repetition charged with feeling. You are not manifesting, you're programming the operator of your habits. If you won't give your mind orders, the world will. Affirm it. I instruct my day. I tell my mind where we're going. 3. A daily needle mover. Now we choose one action that, if done daily, compounds your entire life. The needle mover. Not a dozen tasks. One decisive block. Put it on the calendar at the same time every day. Protect it like income. Treat interruptions like theft, because they are. Examples: sales or outreach, 60 minutes of focused calls, messages. Craft, 90 minutes of deep work on the product, writing, code, and design. No tabs, no chatter. Training, 45 to 60 minutes of movement that advances strength, endurance, or mobility. Learning, 45 minutes on a single skill that multiplies future output. Rules for the block: phone in another room, browser closed, timer visible, door shut and one target. If resistance shows up, and it will, start anyway. Lower the bar, never the standard. 10 minutes is infinitely more than zero. Momentum respects starters, not complainers. Tell yourself, I move the needle daily. One brick, same wall. 4, weekly audit. Win the week or rewrite it. Consistency dies without measurement. You don't rise by guessing, you rise by reviewing. Choose a 30-minute window once a week. Same chair, same time. Ask 4 questions and write the answers. What did I do that directly served my aim? Where did I drift? Name it without drama. What gets cut next week? Meetings, noise, low-value tasks. What gets scheduled as the needle mover every day? Then schedule it. Not I'll try. Put it on the calendar and make the calendar a contract. Speak it. My week reports to me. I audit, adjust in advance. Now let's install these banks into a flow you can live with. No theatrics, just iron. The rhythm, a simple day that wins. Wake time, ear-head. Hydrate, ear-head. Light, 3-5 minutes of movement. Aim, read and speak your definite purpose. Visualize today's needle mover completed. Needle mover block, earliest possible slot. Guard it like a meeting with your future. Admin window, messages, logistics, small tasks, only after the block. Training window, treat your body like the engine that carries your mission. Evening shutdown, 10-15 minutes to set tomorrow's plan. Prepare the space and lower the lights. Phone out of the bedroom. Your morning begins the night before. Keep it boring before you make it beautiful. Fancy systems are how people avoid doing the work. Rhythm is what makes the work inevitable. Kill the common traps. Trap, I'll make up for it later. No, you won't. You replace make-up days with micro-reps. If life hits, do the smallest viable version. 10 minutes keeps the chain alive. 0 ends it. Trap, I need the perfect plan. You need a consistent plan. Version 1, executed daily, beats version 10, imagined loudly. Trap, but today's busy. Busy is what happens to people without banks. You're not too busy to keep a 20-minute promise to your future. If a day truly explodes, perform a micro-rep and move on. Win the streak, then win the depth. Trap, I deserve a break. Rest is scheduled, not stolen. Recovery earned by rhythm restores you. Escape taken by impulse weakens you. Put rest on the calendar and honor it like work. Build an environment that enforces consistency. Your willpower is precious. Stop spending it on avoidable battles. Keep your workspace clean and simple. Tomorrow's tools are ready tonight. Use website blocks during your needle mover hour. Put your phone far from reach during focused work and sleep. Surround your desk with proof, a visible habit tracker, your aim on paper, and a short checklist. Your environment should preach your values when your energy dips. The if-then playbook, pre-decide your resistance. If I wake up groggy, then I splash water, breathe and start a 2-minute micro-rep. If I miss my morning block, then I take a 15-minute emergency block before noon. If a meeting tries to land on my needle mover, then it moves, not my block. If I break the chain, then I restart within 24 hours. No guilt, no story. Pre-decisions beat temptation. You don't argue with yourself. You follow the script you wrote when you were clear. Language that locks identity. Words are steering wheels. Replace soft talk with command talk. Not I'll try to work out. Itra me theven. Not I hope to write. Itra me theven thunda fevern. Not I'll see how I feel. Itra me theven. Follow the plan. Feelings can ride along. Say it now. Slow, steady, certain. I live by structure. I rise by design. My rhythm is my freedom. Again, I live by structure. I rise by design. My rhythm is my freedom. When emotion argues, law decides. There will be mornings when your mind drafts essays about why today should slide. That is not the truth. That is the echo of your old identity trying to negotiate a return. Smile at it. Perform the micro-rep. 10 push-ups. 5 sentences. 3 outreach messages. Movement first, mood after. You are not chasing a feeling. You are keeping a promise. How this becomes who you are. At first, structure feels like effort. Then it becomes familiar. Then it becomes comfortable. Finally, it becomes you. That's identity shift. The moment routine stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Your job is to show up long enough for that moment to arrive. And remember, the goal of Chapter 2 is not perfection, it's predictability. We are building a day that you can repeat, storm or sunshine. Hold the banks and the river will do the rest. I wake by command. I don't drift. I direct. I speak my aim before the world speaks to me. I move the needle daily, 1 brick, same wall. My week reports to me. I audit, adjust, and advance. When life hits, I do a micro-rep. The chain stays unbroken. Let me be blunt. The biggest enemy of consistency isn't failure, and it isn't lack of time. It's your feelings. Your emotions have convinced you that they deserve a vote in whether you rise or whether you drift. They whisper, not today, you're tired, you've earned a break. And if you keep obeying them, you will live in circles, not in progress. Today we end that. Today we learn how to rule emotion, not follow it. Because greatness is not built on how you feel. It's built on what you repeat. Emotion is wind. Law is rock. Picture a ship in open water. If the captain lets the wind decide the direction, the ship drifts forever. That's your life when emotion steers. One day you're motivated, the next you're lost. But the builder who plants his structure in law, not mood, becomes untouchable. He says, I don't move because I feel like it. I move because I said I would. That sentence alone separates kings from quitters. Say it with me. I act regardless of feeling. I serve my rhythm, not my emotion. Why feelings cannot be trusted. Feelings are temporary. They change by the hour. Yesterday's fire becomes today's fog. If you let them lead, your future will flicker like a candle in the wind. Feelings are liars. They tell you you're too tired when your body has another 60% in reserve. They tell you you're not ready, when readiness only comes through action. Feelings are thieves. They rob you of discipline by selling you comfort disguised as self-care. You cannot build permanence on something so unstable. You must build on rhythm. Historical proof, men who moved anyway. Abraham Lincoln battled depression so dark that his friends feared for him. Yet he rose every day, wrote, spoke, and led, not because he felt good, but because he knew what was required. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times without applause. He didn't wait for inspiration, he worked, and one day, light obeyed him. Modern champions, athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators don't wait for the mood. They build routines so sacred that even on their worst day, the rep still gets done. They became great not by chasing feelings, but by disciplining them. How to break emotion's grip. Name it, don't obey it. When your mind says, I don't feel like it, reply, noted, but irrelevant. Feelings can speak, but they don't get a vote. Shrink the task. On low days, perform a micro rep, 10 push-ups instead of a full workout, 5 sentences instead of a chapter. A micro rep keeps the chain alive and proves your identity is intact. Anchor with affirmations. Speak commands that override mood. Oriadolize each amp require. Oriadolized of. Etas and millas the two legi and honest noun. They're not rep, didn't on a machine to be hesens, with it fulls intact. He shred. At the end of the day, ask, did I return to the law, not did I feel motivated? Results honor discipline, not drama. The truth about motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. You don't need another motivational video. You need to practice obedience when the spark is gone. The man who repeats through flatness becomes unstoppable. He stops asking, how do I feel, and starts asking, what is the next step in the pattern I already built? That man wins. Always. Your new creed. Say it slowly with force. I act regardless of feeling. I serve my rhythm, not my emotion. Feelings are wind. My structure is rock. Repeat these until they feel heavier than your excuses. Listen carefully. Freedom without structure is not freedom. It's drift. A river without banks is not a river. It's a flood. And a man without structure, he is not powerful. He is dangerous to himself. If you want to force yourself into consistency, you need more than willpower. You need structure. Structure is the silent engine that makes discipline automatic. It is the law that organizes chaos. It is the system that carries you forward when your feelings try to drag you back. Structure is spiritual alignment. Most men resist structure. They think, I don't want to live like a robot. I want freedom. I want flow. But let me tell you, chaos is not freedom. It's a prison. True freedom is being able to trust yourself. True freedom is waking up and knowing exactly what the next step is. True freedom is a calendar that reflects your purpose, not your distractions. Structure is not suffocation. Structure is spiritual order. It is your way of saying, my time is not public property. My energy serves my mission. 4 laws of daily structure. If you build these into your day, you will never drift again. Wake on schedule, not when you feel like it, not when the alarm lets you. Wake as if your future depends on it, because it does. The man who wakes late is already behind, not just in hours, but in spirit. Speak your aim before the world speaks. Every morning before the noise begins, declare your definite chief aim aloud. Don't wait for clarity to arrive from outside voices. Be the voice that commands your day. Act daily on your plan. Small or large, visible or invisible. One action every day toward your aim. Not weekly, not when convenient. Daily. Each act is a brick. Each brick becomes the wall. Measure weekly progress. A builder inspects the structure. Review what you've done. Reward consistency. Correct weakness. No excuses, just measurement. Obey these 4 and you will outproduce years of motivation in a matter of months. Proof in the builders of history. Andrew Carnegie did not stumble into empire. He lived by structure. His days were blocks. His meetings timed. His goals written. His schedule sacred. That was not rigidity. That was mastery. Henry Ford built an industrial revolution not on chaos, but on systems. Repeatable, scalable, structured action. Every lasting fortune has the same foundation. Men who treated time as a throne, not a toy. How structure protects power. It guards against distraction. When your hours are already spoken for, temptation has no open door. It removes decision fatigue. You don't ask, what should I do today? You already know. It silences emotion. Structure doesn't care if you're tired, sad, or uninspired. The law is written and your only job is to obey. This is how structure makes you powerful. You no longer rely on motivation, you rely on rhythm, and rhythm never fails. Your new daily command. Say this now. I live by structure. I rise by design. My rhythm is my freedom. Again louder. I live by structure. I rise by design. My rhythm is my freedom. These are not lines for comfort. They are shields for your future. Speak them until your schedule becomes sacred and your day becomes untouchable. You've silenced emotion. You've designed your structure. But there's one more truth you must face. Without compounding behavior, you will never see the harvest. Hear me clearly. Success does not arrive in explosions. It arrives in quiet accumulations. The world wants you to believe in overnight victories, sudden breakthroughs, and lucky chances. But the truth? Every fortune, every empire, and every unshakable identity is born from compounded consistency. One act of discipline may look small. One day of structure may feel ordinary. One repetition may feel invisible. But when repeated, stacked, multiplied by time, those small acts grow into unstoppable power. Think of your life like a bank account. Every disciplined day is a deposit. Alone, each deposit may look insignificant, but compounded over weeks, months, and years, it becomes wealth, it becomes strength, and it becomes reputation. One workout builds little. 1 year of daily training builds a body of iron. 1 page of study adds little. 1 year of daily reading creates a mind others bow to. 1 act of focus is quiet. A decade of daily focus rewrites history. This is the law of compounding consistency. Small acts multiplied without interruption create futures no single act could ever reach. Most men plant the seed, then dig it up the next day. They want fruit before roots. They want harvest without seasons. And when they don't see immediate results, they abandon the very pattern that was about to reward them. The tragedy is this. They were not far from breakthrough, but they skipped. They delayed. They betrayed the rhythm. Understand this. Your results are not hiding from you. They are waiting for your compounding to ripen. They are waiting for you to stop starting and stopping and finally stay. The builders who obeyed compounding. Henry Ford built an empire not with sudden leaps, but with repeated scalable actions. Each man in his factory repeated a simple task day after day until the repetition created revolution. Edison failed 1,000 times, but each attempt compounded knowledge. Each mistake stacked into wisdom until the bulb lit the world. Barnes, Edison's partner, didn't leap into success. He swept floors. He showed up daily. He compounded faith with presence until opportunity could no longer ignore him. These men did not rise by bursts. They rose by compounding. 1 missed day is not harmless. It is compounding in reverse. Every time you skip, you break the chain, you reset the rhythm, and you halt the multiplier that was silently building your future. Skipping is not just losing a day, it is losing momentum, identity, and trust in yourself. The cost of skipping is always greater than the comfort it promises. Say this now with conviction. Each day builds the next. My future is the sum of my repeated behavior. Again, each day builds the next. My future is the sum of my repeated behavior. These words are not theory, they are law. And when your subconscious accepts them, your days will stop feeling optional and start feeling sacred. Look at the forces of nature. The tide rises not once, but daily. The sun returns not randomly, but rhythmically. The seasons obey order, not emotion. Everything great moves by compounding patterns, and so must you. You now know the law of compounding. But knowing is not enough. You must also learn how to rise after failure, how to return when you fall, and how to stay consistent even when everything inside you screams to quit. This is it, the final law, the one that decides everything. Not talent, not luck, not inspiration, not even a genius. The true difference between the man who almost makes it and the man who becomes unstoppable is this: the man who never misses. Not because he's the strongest, not because he's the smartest, but because when others fall, he returns. When others pause, he repeats. When others stop, he continues. And that rhythm, that sacred refusal to skip, is what rewrites destiny. Failure is not final unless you stop. Listen carefully. Failure is not the end. Delay is not defeat. Even regret can be redeemed, but only if you return. You didn't fail because you lacked talent. You failed because you lacked rhythm. You didn't fall because the path was impossible. You fell because you stopped walking. You didn't lose because destiny was against you. You lost because inconsistency betrayed you. But here is the truth. If you rise, if you return, if you repeat, failure loses its grip. Barnes and Edison, the power of refusal to quit. Think of Edwin C. Barnes, who dreamed of being Edison's partner. He had no money, no title, and no advantage. He began sweeping floors. He stayed invisible for years, but he never missed. He showed up daily. He obeyed his rhythm. And when the opportunity finally arrived, he was ready. Why? Not because he was the smartest in the room, but because he was the last man still in the room. He did not skip, he endured, and endurance turned him into Edison's partner. You must outlast your old self. There are two men inside you, the one who skips, the one who repeats. One is ruled by emotion, the other by law. One craves comfort, the other commands consistency. And the man who will win, the man you must become, is the one who outlives the other. The one who stops making excuses, the one who says, I am the man who never misses. The world follows the consistent. No one believes the inconsistent. Not investors, not allies, not even the subconscious mind. But everyone follows the man who never misses. Why? Because repetition breeds reliability. Rhythm creates reverence. Presence builds power. This is why the man who never misses becomes the lighthouse. Quiet, predictable, unshakable, trusted even by his enemies. Your final affirmations. Now say these words aloud with no hesitation. I am the man who repeats what others abandon. I am the man who never misses. I build my greatness through rhythm, not emotion. I finish what I start, always. Repeat them until they are no longer affirmations but identity, until your subconscious believes them more than your excuses. This is your rehook, your final call. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another plan. You don't need to wait for the right time. You need to stop skipping. One skipped day becomes a skipped pattern. A skipped pattern becomes a broken identity. And a broken identity becomes a wasted life. But the opposite is also true. One disciplined day becomes a rhythm. Rhythm becomes momentum. Momentum becomes mastery. And mastery becomes legacy. So from this day forward, do not miss. Do not drift. Do not betray the law of consistency. Rise every morning as if your future depends on it, because it does. Speak your aim daily as if your mind is listening, because it is. Act on your structure without excuse as if God himself gave it to you because he did. And when the world looks at you years from now, they won't ask if you can succeed. They'll know you already have, because the man who never misses cannot be denied. So I ask you now as we end, will you be the man who skips or the man who repeats? Choose wisely, because your choice will echo in every future you touch.